everybody, welcome back to HGTV Handmade. I'm Karen Cavett, and today we are going to be talking craft fails. We have all had them, and after Marianne shared her craft fail story a few weeks ago, I got inspired to share a couple of mine. So what you see in these videos, sometimes it all comes together beautifully, everything works out the way it should, and it looks the way it did in my head when I was brainstorming the project. And sometimes it is a process. For example, let's talk about my recent baseball cap DIY. If you remember, the video was 3 ways to decorate a baseball cap, and they're all super cute, right? Well, originally, the video was supposed to be 5 ways to decorate a baseball cap. So one of them that I cut was actually this studded design. It actually did come out alright, but the footage was just so hard to see what was going on because it's such a little fiddly little craft. And this hat isn't very colorful, it wouldn't have looked that good on camera, and it didn't really go with the summery, fun style of all of the other crafts. So, okay, I don't know if I would call this one a craft fail as much as a craft C-, but the white hat, oh man, you guys. The white hat. You guys know this about me. Normally I love taking plain white things and then decorating them, but for some reason I had the idea in my head that sewing large dashes into the hat to mimic sprinkles would be a good idea. I didn't get a picture of the finished hat, but I did finish putting all of these sprinkles all over it, and it looked awful. It looked like what your uniform would be if you worked at a cheesy ice cream shop that made all of its employees dress up like ice cream. It wasn't cute, so after I slept on it, I pulled out all of the stitches, so I was like, this is just not going on the internet. So then I had the idea to try to mimic Marianne's tie-dyed pillowcases from last year. This involves coloring the fabric with permanent markers, spraying it with rubbing alcohol, and then waiting for the ink to all kind of bleed together into a mock tie-dye effect. Sounds great in theory, so I walked over to the grocery store, I bought way too much rubbing alcohol. I did a few test swatches on scrap fabric and they looked fine. So I colored my entire hat with swatches of ink, and then I made my entire apartment smell like a hospital by spraying rubbing alcohol all over it, and it turned out like this. Oh my god, it's so bad. I think that what happened is that since it took so long to cover the entire hat, the ink had time to dry, so it didn't bleed as much as it did on the test fabric where I put down the ink and then sprayed it like a few seconds later. What I should have done was a test swatch on the back of the hat to make sure it worked on this exact fabric too, and then if that didn't really look good, I could have just done something else on the front and never shown you guys the back. I also think I used way too many colors. The purple and the pink and the blue might have all looked good, but introducing the green in there is just way too much. They all kind of bled together and turned kind of brown. So I think I need to find a child who is going to a summer camp for the blind to give this to, because nobody should be forced to look at it. So okay, in the same vein as trying to mimic one of the other girls on Handmade, you guys seem to love the vases that I painted for Meg a few months ago. I think they turned out great in the end, but hands up if you want to see my first attempt. So the idea was to recreate this design that Meg had made as a corkboard backdrop. On a large scale, it looks great, but on a small scale, on this little planter, I'm painting, and I'm painting, and I'm still painting, and I think I went way too far with the painting. In the end, while Meg's backdrop looked like a colorful bohemian wonderland, my attempt looked more like a water cup from the 90s. I ended up going back to the store, buying another vase, and starting from scratch, and luckily, my second attempt was so much better. So sometimes it is the aesthetics that are off, and then sometimes it is just the physics of the thing. So this project was meant to be part of my room decor DIY video from last year, the one where I painted that really colorful corkboard. The idea was to make a minimalist shelf for my nail polish. So I bought these wooden blocks online, gave them a bit of a lip with some dowels. Then I was all excited because I got to break out my drill, and I drilled 3 holes into the back of each one. And then I glued a thumbtack into each one. pretty sure at this point you can see where this is going. So I stuck them to the corkboard, and the thumbtacks actually did support the weight of the empty shelves. But when I tried to fill them up with nail polish, which are glass bottles with liquid inside, aka not the lightest things in the world, the shelf, of course, just came tumbling down. I tried a couple more times to get it to balance just long enough to get the shot that I wanted, but it just was not happening. So I just ended up putting them down on the table in front of the corkboard and just not talking about them in the video, and as soon as I was done filming, I threw them right in the trash because I was just so over that project. So sometimes it is not the project itself that fails, it is the filming of the project, especially when you are your own camera person. I cannot even tell you guys how many times I've been totally out of focus of what I'm trying to show, or I like move off screen as I'm working on it and don't even notice. But I think the worst was a recent video on my main channel where I'm showing you guys how to make these two-toned leather tassels. I only had just enough leather to do the project once, and if you noticed, I never actually showed the rolling up of the tassels, and that's because I'm putting down the glue, getting ready to roll it up, everything's looking great, and there's my head, completely blocking 100% of the action. I didn't realize what had happened until I was sitting down to edit, and at that point, obviously the glue was dry, it was too late to like undo it and refilm that part. So I just had to skip showing that step, because like, what else are you gonna do? So I hope you guys liked seeing that even us professional crafters have craft fails too. Probably even more often than you guys do, because we're just making so many crafts all the time. And I'm not even counting all of the half-finished craft projects I have lying around. Like this wreath that was meant to be a graphic black and white Americana wreath for the angsty teenage hipster and all of us that refuses to celebrate the 4th of July. Yeah, I realized that was a terrible idea, and now I've just had this thing sitting here for over a year. The footage was so beautiful too, and nobody will ever see it, except for you guys right now. So I would love to know what has been your worst craft fail. Let's all just go laugh at ourselves down in the comments, because nobody is perfect 100% of the time. Make sure to like this video if you liked it, and let me know if you want me to make another video like this someday in the future, because I have so many more craft fails I could tell you about. Make sure you are subscribed if you want some non-failing DIYs every single week, and I will see you guys next time. Bye everyone!